Kong Skull Island is one of my favorite MonsterVerse movies. It's got a fairly engaging story, a few compelling characters, amazing special effects, and most importantly, the creature designs themselves are nothing short of fascinating. And one of my favorite creature designs in the movie would have to be that of the SKULLCRAWLER. As a huge fan of reptiles, these goobers' design has always seemed really cool to me. What with their unique movements facilitated by their abnormal amount of limbs, and the badass skull markings on their head. Being the SKULLCRAWLER fan that I am, of course the thought of having a fully height and collectible figure of it is one that makes me really excited. Well, thankfully, Hiya Toys have seemingly given me just what I wanted. Did this thing deliver though? Well, if you saw my top 15 of last year video, you'll probably know the answer to that. So greetings people of YouTube, I'm Screaming Star, and today I'll be reviewing the Hiya Toys Exquisite Basic Godzilla vs. Kong SKULLCRAWLER. So all that talk about Kong Skull Island? Yeah, I have to come clean and say that this figure isn't actually from that movie. This is the SKULLCRAWLER that was seen in Godzilla vs. Kong, wherein it had a splitting conclusion, let's just say.
I'm stupid!
Hiya Toys Mechagodzilla win, by the way, because I am not paying that much for this figure. Well, until then, why don't we focus on what we have now and open this figure up and see if it's really the figure of my dreams. Well, you know what? What a dream it is, because holy crap, this figure seems to be tailor-made for me. The hand feel, the details, the articulation, oh, it's perfect. Would have been even more perfect if it had come with some accessories and... okay, I'll have to come clean again. This figure actually used to have an interchangeable tongue, but I've lost the shorter one because... me dum-dum. So for the rest of its existence, this figure will constantly look like a citizen of Philadelphia. Without any accessories to talk about, I'd say we should jump right into the figure itself. Taking a cursory glance here, we can see that this figure has replicated the on-screen design to a T. You have no idea how long I've wanted something like this. For the longest time, the only SKULLCRAWLER toy we had was that pitiful one by Jack Specific for the Kong Skull Island toy line.
Oh, for booting up, Cole. Can you not make a Godzilla-related video without spreading misinformation? My brother in Christ, that toy line was made by Leonard, not Jack Specific. So next time you make one of these, do your research first, you troglodyte.
Okay, but you're the one who wanted to do a collab.
Just shut up and improve your video quality, you doo-doo head.
Fine! Where was I at again? Oh, right. And then several years after this poo-poo came out, we started finally getting some decent SKULLCRAWLER representations when Playmates got the MonsterVerse license around the release of GVK. See, Leonard? This is how you make a competent child's toy. Make it well-sized and actually add some articulation! Even then though, it still wasn't quite my thing. It's good for what it is, but I've always preferred the detailed and posable kind when it comes to monster figures. And would you look at that? Hiya Toys have taken their mind-probing machine and created something that could only come from my wildest dreams. The amount of detail here is absolutely astounding. The texture work is so pleasing to my eyes. I could just get lost in the seas of bumps and crevices that are sculpted onto this creature's beautiful body. Ugly, but in a beautiful way, kind of. The spinal column and the ribcage are a perfect catalyst for this figure's grotesque beauty. And so is this excellent head sculpt, with a particularly interesting looking tongue. Looks like someone wants to get freaky. Hey, Mini Screaming, what are you doing? Also, the teeth paint look quite clean. Lovely. Speaking of, as per Hiya tradition, not only is this figure sculpted well, but the paint applications here, ooh, they are ever so lovely. Lots of color shading here that gives this figure some depth. And when the color transitions from one to another, the gradation is super smooth and makes the entire color palette look really cohesive. Hammond Collection Serrato? I don't know why I'm taking jabs at that figure, bro came out like 3 years ago or something. Now, it could just be me, but I think some parts of this figure are given a sort of glossy finish to them that really does add to the disgusting feel of this design. In which case, my hat's off to you, Hiya. This is some subtly well done shit. I would make fun of SH Monster Arts, but I don't want to touch that hornet's nest anymore. I haven't been scolded or anything, but I know how scary the Godzilla fandom can be like when it comes to this type of stuff. You like what you like and I like what I like. Are we cool? Cool. And speaking of liking something, let us discuss my absolute favorite thing about this figure. Sure, the sculpt and paint are wonderful, but you can still find them on a statue. The articulation and even solidity though, this is when the figure gets the top tier status for me. Articulation wise, you basically have everything you need here. The top and bottom jaw move in tandem with one another, and this is really fun to do. The tongue is on a ball joint, and that's how you're supposed to swap it with the other one, but these are a bit loose and fragile feeling, so I just be careful with that. I mean, you can still get some decent poses out of it, I guess. Now the neck region here is on 3 ball joints, allowing it to look up that far, down very far. Of course, there's lots of rotation, and he can look side to side. Shoulders rotate 360. They move out that far. These are the only parts of the figure that feel a little loose, by the way. You get a bicep swivel and a double jointed elbow. The wrists are on a hinge joint, and they have a swivel here and a swivel at this point. And as you can see, that allows for a wrist pivot. And if you configure this joint here sideways, you can also get this movement going on, which I don't know what you use that for, but hey, that's the thing you can do. 3 ball joints in the torso, allowing it to crunch forward that far, back that far. Lots of rotation here again, some waist pivot going on. And finally, the best part about this figure is this beautifully long bendy wire tail. The amount of expressiveness that this tail has is just immense. The posability here is pretty much unlimited. And fortunately, it does feel quite strong, though I would still, of course, recommend you being careful with it. And be careful with this section of the tail as well, because these are sharp. Oh, and this is where the bendy wire ends, by the way. And yeah, for this type of design, the posability is great. It's definitely enough to get him to some really cool poses. For a creature with no legs, holy smokes, this thing is moving! That bendy wire tail really does a lot of the heavy lifting, making every pose this guy is in look smooth and natural. Really, if I had to complain anything at all about this figure, it would have to be that he feels slightly lacking in terms of value. No accessories, no flight stand, and yeah, this figure isn't that big. Size comparisons. Here's the SKULLCRAWLER next to SH Monster Arts 1954 Godzilla. Closest thing I have to a Kong figure, the Transformers Studio Series Optimus Primal. Comparing him to a regular 6-inch scale figure, we have the Marvel Legends Mr. Knight. And finally, here he is next to my only other Hiya Toys figure, the Hiya Toys Energized Godzilla. Now I did really like this figure, but this is just a bit more special to me. What with me being really fascinated with this design, and just the novelty of having a highly articulated SKULLCRAWLER figure, is pretty much one of the reasons why I put this guy in my top 15 list instead of him. And there goes my review for the Hiya Toys Exquisite Basic Godzilla vs. Kong SKULLCRAWLER. As a fan of the SKULLCRAWLER design, I can say without a doubt that Hiya Toys have done it justice. There's barely anything else that I could ask for at this point. The paint and sculpt are immaculate, the posability is very good, so is the solidity. I definitely recommend this figure to any Monsterverse fan, especially for my fellow Fentanyl Cubone enjoyers. And one more reason on why I like this figure more than Energized Godzilla is that there are a whole bunch of Godzilla figures on the market, but the SKULLCRAWLER is special. With all that being said, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching this video. What did you think of it? If you enjoyed it, leave a like. Got something to say, leave a comment. And if you like my channel, feel free to hit that subscribe button. Farewell, fellas. I'll hopefully see you all next time. The Age of Primes has ended. No more false prophets. Follow me, and you will never again be deceived. Rise! You gotta be slagging kidding me! All that betrayal, all that hard work, ruined by a slugging toy line name? Curse you, Hasbro!